We are in a very particularly interesting conundrum, to say the least. Money is always an interesting thing. It's a variable that not everybody can surmount. Regardless of what you think about money, I know some people have positive perceptions of money and others may have extremely negative perceptions of money. Money is a tool. Money is a resource. And in order to do almost anything, you require some level of money or the ability to move around or gather money and repurpose it towards whatever purpose you intend. In today's podcast, we're going to talk about spending other people's money. Austin, I give you the mic.
All right. So, since you said this, I want to kind of delve into a thing that I just thought about. So,
yeah, well, give us a little second here. We're still warming up.
Yeah. So, you said money is a tool, and I think people think, instead of thinking money is a tool, they think money is a tool. And when I say that, you might think, oh, you just said the same thing. No. I mean, you could either think money is a tool, like a handyman's tool, like a wrench, like a way to do something, or an avenue, or a peripheral item that you could use to go about doing something. Or you could think it's a tool in a sense of, oh, money is an asshole. Money is fucking annoying. Money is stupid. Money is just a pain to think about, a pain to talk about, like a tool, like a person that you may not want to be around. And I feel like a lot of people think about money like that. They think about money as that asshole that they don't want to be around, or that is just there to stress them out and whatnot. And they apply a kind of personal sense or personal aspect to money that I think is illegitimately placed onto it. And when you do that, you kind of have this negative relationship with money, like it's a person. Like you can have a negative relationship with a person. Breathe, bro. You can have a negative relationship with a person because the characteristics and the personality that they may have may differ from yours and whatnot, which gives you kind of a negative relationship with them. But when you think of money like that, like it's a person, you could also feel that way. However, if you change your perspective on how you think about money, you can change your ways that you could use it in ways that you can make it work for you. Because when you have that perspective of money is a tool, then you can figure out different ways to go about navigating life with it. Because once you say, hey, look, I'm going to treat money as a wrench or a screwdriver to fix things, as opposed to a person that I have to put up with, like it's my wife that I hate or some bullshit like that. I don't have a wife, but like it's a person that I have to keep around that I hate or something like that. You can do more things with it, because you can do a lot with a wrench. You could do a lot with a screwdriver, but more often than not, you don't want to do a lot of stuff with someone or something that you hate or that you have a negative relationship with. So money is a tool, not a tool.
It's interesting that you bring that up, because money is a very, very important tool when it comes to business. It's arguably the foundation of most businesses, besides the relationships that you build with other people and the networks. However, money is the currency that you use to express those relationships that you have for other people. And it's interesting because you would say, that means that my perception of others is tied to money. But in business, it's all business. It's not personal. So you have to find a way to separate emotions from money.
Right.
Because money is an inanimate object. If you're so mature, you won't get upset when you're losing a Monopoly. So why would you get upset when you're losing when it comes to monetary or financial stability in life? It's not personal. It's just business. The world is not out to get you, nor is it against you. It's simply the fact that you are going through a difficult character building experience. Many things are going to challenge you. Many things are going to push your buttons. It's never going to go as planned, especially when it comes to finances. And I understand how stressful finances can be. We're actually going to bring you up to speed into what we're currently experiencing, but you can't let that dominate your day to day. You can't let these things scare you away from living your life, because at the end of the day, there's a book. I forgot who the author is, but it is titled Die at Zero or Die with Zero. And Ali Abdal was talking about it and how it was one of the books that inspired him the most. And it was essentially saying that you can't go to the next life with any money. When you leave this life, money means nothing to you. So saving and preparing for the next generations is all good and well, but you also need to use it towards your advantage and use it towards your enjoyment. If you are over-conservative in your savings, over-conservative in whatever it might be, you risk the opportunity of using what you have, the resources at your disposition, to experience certain things or to give back to the community or to give to people that you love. And right now, I'll give you a little surface level discussion of what we're currently encountering. We're at a crossroads where we need 5 figures worth of finances in dollars, a high amount of 5 figures worth of finances in dollars. And we're currently going for small business loans, SBA loans to be specific. We're currently documenting all the processes. We're currently evaluating all our expenses and all the projections. And I will tell you one thing. We're 50% through our expense, and we need the other 50% within 3-4 weeks. It's go time. But you don't see us crying. You don't see us whining. You don't see us having a difficult time. We're still doing everything that we need to do within reason. But the reason that we're trying to spend other people's money is because that's what's going to help us grow exponentially.
So when you're starting out, you probably are going to have to spend some of your money. It's probably just the way that you have to go about doing things early on. But once you do that enough, you start to realize it's like, oh shit, I've spent a lot of my money and maybe I haven't gotten as far as I would have liked to. And now I put myself in an even tougher financial situation to where I'm going to have to do what? Probably borrow from someone else, probably a bank more than likely. So what happens if instead of you saying, hey, look, I'm going to start with using my money and do that for as long as I possibly can until I have little to nothing left,
Which we've done.
What happens if instead of starting with that, you either start or quickly go to using someone else's money? What does that do? So it kind of aligns with credit. And personally, I've always hated the idea of credit because I just don't like owing people. But I've had to change my mindset when it comes to applying that, especially with business, because it's a difference when you're spending your own money and then you lose or 4 figures comes out of your account, then your account is down 4 figures clearly. And then if the shit doesn't work out how you planned it to, your account, whether you like it or not, is down that 4 figures and you're going to have to build that shit back up. However, if you use someone else's money or you borrow from someone else, whatever you have in your account stays however you'd want it to stay in your account. And you can use someone else's money to do shit with. Now, of course, I'm over, simplifying and whatnot, but basically, instead of you using your hard-earned cash and using it right now for something that may or may not work, you get to use someone else's. And that allows you to do a lot of things, because if you use your own cash, you're kind of handcuffed to what you're able to do because you only have so much of it left, and you need certain portions of it for certain things. You might have some money saved up for, a rainy day fund and whatnot that you don't want to touch. However, if you just have to rely on your capital, and the capital that you've been putting in hasn't been giving you the returns that you wanted, or you have to use even more of it to get the returns that you're seeking, that means you're probably going to have to dip into that rainy day fund, which is very, very risky. Now, of course, scared money doesn't make any money, and I'll get a bit back into that later. But instead of doing that way, you could just say, hey, I'm going to put together a business plan. I'm going to put together the numbers and make sure that I can communicate what my product does or what my thing is and what we're trying to do here. What's the 30, 60, 90 day plan for this particular business or for this particular product? And I'm going to go to a bank and I'm going to ask them for their money. And if you do that, you get to use the funds that they're giving you, and you get to keep all your rainy day fund. You get to keep all your funds that you're using for, personal things and whatnot for yourself. Now, that really is, of course, up front, it's a lot better. In the back end, if you don't pay, it's going to come back to bite you in the ass. However, if you pay like you're supposed to and things go how they're supposed to, if you put in the work and you put in the hours, that is a lot better for you up front because you get to keep your money while also utilizing someone else's money. And for us, that's something that we had to figure out, kind of the hard way, because again, we're going to have to do this by our bootstraps and make this shit work ourselves. And then we realized it's like, hey, look, we have been putting a lot of money into this, but we still need more. So either we're going to have to start doing some extra shit or something crazy, or we're going to have to go to this bank and put together a business plan and say, hey, we need some of your money. And luckily for us, these were things that the numbers and the facts and all the supply chain details and whatnot, these were things that we were already discussing. So putting together a business plan around it may not have been as difficult for us as it would be for you or whoever you may know, because you may not have all those things readily available. But for us, it ended up working out to where we were able to put together a business plan and swing it by the bank, and they were able to tell us, this is good for the most part, but you might want to add this, this, and this before we actually submit the fucking small business loan application or whatnot. And it allowed us to kind of expedite this process as opposed to someone who may not have all those details readily available. But back to the main topic, as far as, talking about spending other people's money, to me, this is just something that allows you to be more adaptable, more fluid with what you're able to do with your cash, because you're not just solely focusing or solely using it from one area, from one account, and from one account that is yours, that is directly tied to your savings and your money. You're getting it from somewhere else, and you still have your money here that you're able to do whatever you need to do and pay whatever the monthly payment is that you're going to have to do for that loan off, and you have that there. And you also have that there to take care of your, monthly expenses for your personal life. So it makes things easier.
You have to, as Austin was saying, you have to find a way to separate your personal finances from your business finances. And mainly that's because if you're the type of person that's not very organized physically, that's likely a reflection of your mental state. Mm-hmm. And therefore, you're going to start mixing your business expenses with your personal expenses. Soon that night out with the missus is going to be a business expense. Doesn't make sense. Soon that business expense is going to become a personal expense, and so on and so forth. So not only are you slowly incrementing the amount of stress that you're building because you have no idea where your money's going, but you're also making accountability even more difficult. Accountability right now in the moment, but also accountability in the future when it comes to taxes, when it comes to anything in particular that requires a thorough documentation. You're making your life way more difficult. And we'll be fully transparent here. Applying for a loan, whether it be from a bank or personal, requires a substantial amount of organization. If you're not an individual who keeps track of their finances, I highly recommend that you do. It might not matter to you now, but it will matter to you in the future. Because we know if you're watching this podcast, you're interested in doing something with your life, something of significance, something that will require you to dress up well, to act professionally, to pick up the damn phone, to wipe your ass, to spend other people's money. It doesn't mean you have to start your own business, but it means you're going to have to be an upstanding individual in all facets of the human nature. Money is one of the most important. Why do you think there's always a currency? Why do you think there's always a frenzy around any type of currency, whether it would have been grain back in the day, gold, silver, which to this day still serves as a currency? There's a lot of reasons why these are so important to value in life. And I understand, again, everybody has differing opinions. However, money makes the world go round. And if you have control of your finances, now you can start exerting control on finances that are beyond you, whether that be your siblings, your parents, your partner, and then your business, then your community, your state, who knows, your country. It's the same thing with how you control your mind. If you have no control over your mind, if you're incapable of directing your thoughts, if you're incapable of directing your actions, you're going to have a very difficult time exerting an influence externally on your surroundings. It's the same thing with your money. If you are incapable of controlling your money, your spending habits, and understanding how and where it's going and why, in your own personal finances, you're going to have a very, very difficult time doing that when it comes to anything else and everywhere else. It's the same saying. Get your shit together before you talk about somebody else's bullshit. As Jordan Peterson says, get your house in order before you criticize somebody else's house.
And I don't want to get this verse wrong, but it's basically like before you throw a rock at somebody else, or before you try to throw or take the needle or wood out of someone else's eye, first you have to take it out of your own. So basically it's like before you chastise someone else about their wrongdoings or about their thing that they're not doing as well as you think that they should, look at what you're doing yourself.
It's he who is without sin, let him throw the first stone. Mm-hmm. That's all I see.
Right. There's another one where it's like taking a wooden something out of your eye before you talk about someone else. But anyway, basically to say the same thing.
I know which one you're talking about too. I just don't know where it is.
Basically, it's like before you have something to say about other people, and we've been victims of this, or kind of promoted this in a sense of where we would talk about someone else before we were good enough to really be talking about it. But now we got to the point to where it's like most of the things that we speak on because we've been through it.
What's an example? I'm having a hard time cognizing.
I would say, let's say, however, I think that's like a year or so ago when we were at the gym.
Who?
We.
But who were we talking about?
People.
Which one?
At the gym. No. I don't know. I don't know their names. It's not like one of the specific ones that we know.
It's just some bullshit.
Yeah.
So we don't actually know them.
Yeah.
So it was never absolved.
I mean,
but we're still bigger than them now?
No, I'm saying yes at this point.
Oh.
But at the time, time we were talking, and we didn't realize how, because we didn't look like this. We didn't look bad, but we didn't look like this.
We thought we were big. We thought we were cut, and we were actually fat. Exactly. I mean, we were still big.
Yeah,
but we weren't.
Exactly. So, but
I was like, is it a very particular person that we were hating on that?
I mean, there probably is something I just can't think of right now. Not in reference to working out, but other shit. But yeah. So just to again speak on that a little bit, you really should focus on, if you don't know how to manage your own money first, you managing a business for yourself, and the money that has to go in and out of that is going to be a lot tougher, because you fucking up your own finances is one thing, but you fucking up a business or a corporation's finances could get you in some trouble. Because say you don't file your taxes correctly for your business, and say you're making some sort of money, you're fucked, my boy. So you might want to figure that shit out before, anything else. So if you don't know how to manage your own money, don't go into a business and say, oh yeah, this is about to be the fucking best. And even if you do have a great product, you might want to figure out how to manage your own money before you get into it, for real, because that could come back to bite you in the ass. So I also wanted to end on this. How are we on time? Okay. So I wanted to talk about this.
Oh, we don't have a limit today.
Oh, great.
So
I wanted to talk about how spending other people's money allows you to strike while the iron is hot. Because for most of us, we don't have the necessary funds readily available. And when I say the necessary funds, some people may say, hey, I have $100 that I may be able to use, if I need it. I may have $500 that I may be able to use if I need it. I may have $1,000 that I may be able to use if I need it. But when it comes to certain shit like what we've been encountering, it's like, hey, do you have $2,500, $5,000?
Do you have $50,000 at your disposal?
At your disposal that
you can wire internationally.
Yes.
Not just cash that you can just willy-nilly and spend it. Our wire got held 3 times. 3. One wire under $5,000. Okay? Let's not even talk about wires that are 10, 20, 30, 40, $50,000.
Exactly.
So you don't understand the level of movement and the problems that come around with that level of movement.
Exactly. And to have that level of movement, you're going to need some form of fucking liquid cash that you could touch and get a hold of and use. Most people don't have that shit, especially when it comes to doing anything of substance when you're trying to start a business, because it costs money. It's going to cost money. And if you try to cut quarters or corners, you're going to end up looking like a fucking novice in the long run, and your product is probably going to look like shit, or probably going to be shit. So if you want to do things the right way, you want to have a good product, you're probably going to have to spend some fucking money that you probably don't have in your bank account, unless you just been blessed to be given some money, or you work a job that's paying you fucking $500,000 a year.
Or you're financially responsible.
Even if, because
with a good salary.
Yeah, because I would say that I'm financially responsible with a good salary, but there's a lot of shit that we had to fucking, especially now.
That's what I mean. As if you're financially responsible, didn't have a lot of payments per se, and you were able to stow away a good amount of cash. Oh, but
even as of right now, that's getting low. So because we've had a lot of shit that we've had to fucking pay for. It's been a long process. So even if you might be good at first, but how long can you pay out this cash from your fucking bank account? So instead of doing that, and you might have to do that at that particular time, because again, there could be a season for your particular product, and it's like, man, this is the season for this. I know my product would do fucking great numbers right now. I need to place an order right now for this. I don't have the fucking cash. What do? What would be best? Borrow someone else's money so you could go ahead and do that shit ASAP, as opposed to saying, hey, I don't have the fucking cash. You know what I'm just going to do? I'm just going to wait 4 months and save up the money that I need to do this. By the time that time comes and it's 4 months later, your opportunity might be fucking long gone. So when you're just relying on your money as opposed to seeing if you can borrow from someone else or use someone else's capital, it kind of stagnates the process, as opposed to using someone else's money whenever you need it. And of course, if it's not just ASAP, it's not going to happen like in fucking 1 millisecond, unless, you just have connections like that or whatnot. But, say even if it takes you a month compared to 4 months it's moving a lot faster. You're able to get those funds a lot faster and use them a lot faster, than you would be if you were just relying on your own personal funds or lack thereof in this case.
Money's fun.
Money is fun if you know how to make it fun. As of right now, though,
Not that fun.
it's not that fun.
But I'm going to be real with y'all. There's growing pains. And when you reach a new stratosphere of finances, it's the same gamble as it was before. The only difference is the numbers are bigger.
Right.
It's still
Very
a
true.
risk. It's still the same risk. You still have a risk of hitting zero. You still have a risk of jumping an entire curve just like that car just did.
I really wish that y'all could see that.
I swear, the shitty ass fucking drivers around here is
Ridiculous,
hysterical.
man.
I'm just glad we haven't seen anybody get T-boned right here on that, like right there on that exit. I'm very surprised we haven't seen anybody get T-boned.
You said
here.
glad. No, I'm not gonna say I
No,
want
no.
to see that.
I'm glad
However,
and surprised.
Yeah, I'm more surprised than glad.
There was,
Yeah.
you remember the first winter storm in Austin?
Yeah.
Well, I was in San Marcos at the time, and we were living on you remember that apartment, right? I had a balcony over a back road that crossed between two main roads in San Marcos, and people were driving, and people don't know how to drive on ice because we're in Austin. We're in Texas, and that's okay. No hate, no shame. And my roommate and I, at the time, I got a cup of coffee, he got a cup of hot chocolate, and we sat outside on the balcony, smoked cigars, and watched people get in accidents. And so when people would miss the accidents, we would be like, yeah! And I just remember the best one that we saw. There was a 4-car pileup, okay? 2 cars this way, 2 cars this way, just mashed. And there's this girl in a Toyota Corolla, right? And his buddy's there, and he has like a 6-pack of beers, and he has them in the ice in the corner. And the girl's like, she hits the brakes, and the car starts skidding, right? And she does this just 007 maneuver, right? She just turns the wheel, the car spins, so she avoids the car. She's turning tail like this, and then she repositions it as if she were drifting. And so the car starts going this way with perfect control. And then at the last minute before she hit the curve, she turns back. And so the car tail whips into the curve without hopping the curve. And she missed all the cars. And I was like, only a Toyota could do that. And we're just like, yeah. And she gets out the car. She's like, yeah. She's like, throw me a beer. And his roommate just throws her a beer. Or his buddy just throws her a beer, and she just catches it and chugs that shit. I was like,
How'd she look?
Oh, she was.
Yeah, you might have.
She was banging, dog.
Yeah, you
She
should have
was-
did something with that. She's got some skills. You might have to. Yeah.
Giving me flashbacks. Or flash forwards.
You're not gonna catch a girl that has them driving skills probably ever again.
Hey, this
Sorry.
This is not the Patreon podcast, dog. Relax.
Yeah,
I can't give him that much information.
Yeah, hey.
The demeanor completely changed if y'all noticed.
But anyway,
Bro, we haven't even had time to start the Patreon podcast, even if we wanted to.
I know that is true.
Why? Because we're out here being businessmen with business plans.
Exactly.
Oh. Any last words?
I'll say that again, money is a tool, not a tool. So figure out how that you can use it and realize that, of course, like you said, once you start to get into different ballparks, the number is going to increase. However, don't lose focus and don't think it's a completely different game. You're probably still playing Monopoly somehow. The board just got bigger. So you're just gonna have to figure out how to navigate the board and not be scared and not act pussy because the numbers got bigger. Because there's still certain decisions that have to be made, and there's still certain things and certain price tags that have to be paid for, even though the number got bigger. And just because it got bigger doesn't mean you have to or you should act with more, or too much caution. You still have to do these certain things because there were certain things that, with our first business where we were spending fucking $200 on, and we're like, oh shit, I don't know. Now we're spending thousands of fucking dollars on shit. So the number has gotten bigger, but we still have to fucking do this shit, whether, we feel necessarily comfortable about it or not, because we know that it's going to allow us to do and get certain things that we need to do. So it helps, again, instead of using your own money with this, if you use other people's money. Because once those numbers start to get bigger, it's going to be a lot harder to pull that trigger. And it's a lot easier to pull the trigger if you're using someone else's shit as opposed to yours. That's all I say.
The AM Club Podcast.
Signing out.
Mic check. The AM Club Podcast.